There he is. Very good.
One of these things?
No, I didn't think that.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. I suppose you see. Sorry. Ready to go home? Those are Kleenexes.
Well, Kleenex.
Oh, yeah. Here's. Highlight.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
You can see the audience.
Yeah.
Wow, that's.
There's lots of
Well,
fun. It's so tomorrow.
Not big Keith is here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right, I see. I get so bright.
So apologies to the Zoom audience, it's a little challenging getting here this evening.
No, he's up upstairs in this house. Screen house.
Turn my Zoom around.
I was just gonna say that's why it's bright, I think. Wait,
He probably got some lights.
yeah.
He's probably trying to get us, tan.
Yeah. I don't think you can.
I
hear them, they're so far away.
Well, but they're not,
But it doesn't look so good. It's like in an old man's chair.
there it is.
He was just here, did he go home? No, he must be, is that? Where is Greg?
Yeah, I'm joining remotely. I've had a headache all day and it's just only getting worse. So I decided just to stay home.
How did you get home? You were here.
I left right after you, Pat.
Oh, okay.
Moments ago. Right?
Even I'm thinking.
Hope you feel better.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul. I was hoping to be there on your last night, Paul. I'm sorry not to, celebrate with you, but
That's celebrating.
yeah, exactly.
You can't go, yeah.
Does that silence it?
Nice.
Greg, speak again.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
It
can.
was so loud, it was terrible. That's better.
Is that better?
Okay. I hope the new setup is all right. I just felt that it might be a better way to display.
Well, it has a couple of advantages. One of them, I noticed if the group appears closer to the camera than it did the other way. And you actually can see who's in the audience.
Right. And I did some microphone testing earlier and I sat in the second row and I could actually pick up I could hear myself well in the microphone when I watched the recording. So hopefully whoever's in the audience can just sit there and hear it. But anyway.
As long as they're not in the back row, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was way better at the planning board meeting. Okay, so let us begin with the public hearing.
For what it's worth, Catherine is cut off at her glasses on the left of the screen. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
It's pretty hard to get.
We can't get closer very easily, and I'm trying not to go deaf and be, we're trying, this is new for us too, Ted.
Okay, no, I'm just mentioning it.
We
Yeah,
can-
because like.
we can see.
If we can make it good, so you can see Catherine, but then you won't see, oh.
Well, if you increase the space
Uh-huh.
between the camera and the front of the table by about a foot, the angle will work out better, but it's a detail.
Yeah, well, then you can't be done. We'd have to move the tables farther away from the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway, moving to the meat of the matter, is there anyone who'd like to comment on the Fort Veterans Tax Exemption local law proposal? Either in Zoom land or here. I'm seeing no one. So with that, we'll close the public hearing and move on.
Some of these papers, I don't know which ones I brought, and which one are.
Yes, right. There are a couple of additions to the agenda. One is a report on how it went with the meeting with the Board of Elections over in West Danby. There are two requests for use of this room by CSI, which we can deal with. Well, why don't we put the report on the report?
Yep.
And the CSI request could go into business.
Yep.
Under report toward the end, right? Anything else? All right, privilege of the floor. Anyone who'd like to address the group? Not sure whose hand I saw go up first. Gary.
Hi, everyone. I just have a suggestion. I've talked to a lot of people in the last week, and they didn't know there were so many open positions on the board. Why can't we, as a town, put the open positions on the town, in the town newsletter to let people know?
They were on the front page. Oh,
I didn't
that's-
see them on the
no.
front page.
That's right. Only the opening for the, that we have to replace somebody, no. Because that's a political thing and this is government money doing this for the town.
It's not really political, it's public information, I would think.
Well,
Okay.
sure. we could-
You're opening it to everybody in the town, not just one
Yeah.
specific party or person.
Right,
I mean,
but those openings, Gary, are all the ones that are up for election in November. The only opening that's now is the vacancy on the board. that
Well,
hap-
still the ones in November, people could have put their names in a month ago or a long time ago before the time limit was up and you couldn't enter any more names.
Well, the time
nobody-
limit-
nobody
the time
knew it.
limit- The time limit isn't up.
That was in the newsletter, the town board vacancy.
The town board vacancy, we put, 2 months, in fact, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2
2
months.
months running.
And that was the only one that's right now.
Yeah, the others are,
Petitioning
we're
done.
just getting underway with petitioning. If you're from one of the major parties, and it's an extra month if you're mounting if you're mounting a candidacy that's not one of the major parties. So that process is just beginning to unfold with the election in November.
But the primary is in June.
My primaries in June, which is,
So there are no more Democrats that can enter their names for the November election now?
well, yeah, they still can. You got until the end of, March, is it?
To do a petition,
Yeah,
Petitions are through,
the 26th of.
they begin the end of February and go through most of March.
yeah, right, till the end of March.
But if you can run as an independent.
Right,
Yeah.
but I'm saying
that comes later.
if there were other Democrats out there that wanted to run and they didn't know about this, how would they get their name in?
can
Because it
they
wasn't
can
on the
still-
website. I didn't see it on the website,
Well, yeah, because it's a political party thing.
Yeah,
but it's public information too. It's not just a political party. I mean, you want the best person for the job, not necessarily one party or the other party. I would think give, the people that want a chance to volunteer for the town or help the town, they'd all have a chance. Like I say, not just one party or the other party. That was my suggestion.
Anyway, point well taken. We could provide general information about the electoral process and how to do it regardless of which party you belong to. might be worth doing in a nonpartisan way.
And we
I
could.
mean,
we
it'd
could
let more
put in a
people in the
list-
town know.
We
Yeah.
could put in a list of, open positions in the town as well.
Yeah.
And what names had to be in, deadlines and stuff. That would be helpful to the rest of people in the town, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks.
Do that.
Uh,
Have you ever done that?
Rhonda?
No. We've never done that, no. And,
I'm sure Rhonda wants to know.
yeah.
Hi, am I up?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Okay. So thank you to Greg for trying to improve the view for the Zoom people. And I think it just needs a little bit more tweaking and it will be great. I can see Catherine just fine. And even the audience, the seats don't all need to be in a straight line or anything. They could be curved or something like that. So I think this is a much better. Thanks to Joel for doing the supervisor's report. I have read them both months that they've been up. And the last thing that I want to say is I really support the EV charger. And the reason for that is because in January, I drove to Albany and back all in the same day. It was 7 hours of driving. And I noticed right away that there were no EV chargers anywhere along the route that I took until you got to Guilderland, which is like a little suburb of Albany.
Right.
And so then I looked at the Google map, and in order for you going that direction to get an EV charger, you'd have to get off at Sydney and go into the little village of Sydney or go to Oneonta or something like that. And I really feel that it's good for us to put up an EV charger along 96B. So you have my support.
Thank you. Ted?
Yes, hi. I agree entirely with what Rhonda just said about EV chargers, but I'll put a nuance in there. I believe that anything that you put in should be free to the public for use. The actual cost to the town of the electricity, it isn't zero, but it is insignificant compared to the value that you would grant to the people who are using it, even if they're not townspeople. I took a quick look at the proposal that you have, and for installing the EV charger, I am flabbergasted by the price. Totally flabbergasted. As was the case with the initial EV charger, the town is spending an awful lot of money for something that could be done, shall we say, for much, much less. And I encourage you to consider doing it on your own. Highway department can dig a ditch. You'd need to hire an electrician, I assume, but the actual price of a charger need not be much. And if it happens to fail, you just buy another because it's still 1/10 the price of what you're paying. I'm picking a number. It could be 100th for all I know. That was one. Before we get a chance to forget this, I'd like to recognize Paul Hansen for his contribution as a town board member for an unfortunately short time. Personally, his common sense contributions have been a breath of fresh air that I've enjoyed listening to. So thank you very much, Paul. And finally, in the agenda, it states that there are only 2 applicants for the town board position. However, looking at the number of windows that are open here, I suspect there are more than that. Rather than comment on the 2 that I see there, I would request the town board to reopen public comment until after the interviews of applicants so that we can give our impression of what we heard. After all, in this undertaking of the appointing of a town board member, you are in fact taking your role is that which is normally reserved to voters, who elect a town board member, and I think you should be hearing what people have to say about the interviews. I think that covers it all. Thank you.
You're welcome. Zach?
Hey, I just wanted to say I'm so excited for the highway department. If y'all approve him of getting that gravel screener, I know Keith has been getting so much material in, and that will help him greatly reduce cost. And also, a couple days ago sat down and read the whole sewer study and finally, did like deep dives into all the different processing. And it's, even if there's a small chance of it going through, it's actually, I was wrong. I thought it was kind of dry. And once you get deep into it, it is a fascinating read, just learning like the different ways of processing effluent. But yeah, thanks.
Anyone else?
Yeah, crap. Shit.
All right. As far as I know, there's no correspondence. Is that right, Mariah?
Correct.
Any announcements?
No.
I don't have one either. So, reports. Is Dan here? Yes,
Yep.
Dan is here. Dan, we would love to hear from you.
Mhm.
I would love to report. I think I'm very dim. I'm trying to figure out my lighting. Oh, well.
It was like Kendall did.
Yeah, I'm here. You just have to believe me. Oh, that's better. Okay. So first of all, yeah, I'll also say that I agree the new Zoom configuration is much better. Thank you for that. Feel much more like I'm in the room with you.
Mhm.
I also want to mention, I know you're going to be doing a report on the West Danby meeting about the polling station later on. I regret that I wasn't able to be there. I fully intended to, and that's when it started snowing. I'm guessing I'm not the only person that didn't come because of weather, so I just wanted to say that. Okay. I think I mentioned last month about the sales tax revenue for the county has been down, and the final for the year came in, and we had a very good December, but unfortunately it was not enough to put us into positive territory for the towns. So the town portion of the sales tax revenue from 2024 is down 1.1% from the previous year. The county, there's a formula who gets what, and the county squeaked by with a 0.5% increase from the year before, but that's still below what we budgeted. So no matter how you slice it up, it was not a good sales tax revenue year. I also wanted to report that the county passed a resolution sending a request to New York State to allow us to increase the number of seats on the Industrial Development Agency from 7 to 9. The Industrial Development Agency is the body that reviews business proposals and decides, among other things, whether to grant partial tax exemptions. And so we've requested New York State allow us to increase from 7 to 9. It requires New York State approval of that. And if they do, we have not decided what those 2 extra seats would be. There's been several discussions of what they might represent. And one of the points of view that's been put forward is that they could be a representative from the rural towns to give some input into the Industrial Development Agency. So just keep an eye on that as it develops, see if we do get approval, and then we go ahead and increase it, and then see what categories we end up choosing for that extra seat, and to see if Danby, wants to participate in some way in making decisions in the Industrial Development Agency. And then I also wanted to congratulate Paul and thank you for your service, and thank you for joining our strange little club, and good luck out there. And that's my report.
But, yeah, I've graduated to a whole new world out there, brave new world.
Yeah. Dan, all I've seen about the IDA is about a possibility of adding a seat for the schools.
Yes. So what we did was we, as I said, we just said to New York State, can you give us 2 more seats? And if they say yes, then we will decide how to fill those 2 seats. So we did not make any decisions about what those seats would be reserved for, if anybody. So school district is a possibility. Rural towns is a possibility.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Should, Keith, you want to speak to us now or wait until we get to the highway things?
Hello, hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so, just to give you an update, is that what you're looking for of what's going on at Highway, or were you going over a resolution, or?
Well, we have 2 resolutions on the agenda that are highway related, one for the
Yeah.
greening machine and the other one for the truck repair.
Yeah.
But anything else you want to report to us, we'd be happy to hear.
No, not a whole lot going on. Well, there's a lot going on. We've been very busy, but we're, Highway's doing good. We're keeping track of the roads and making sure that they're safe out there. And, you know, we're bringing in a lot of material right now for future paving. So we're busy hauling and, so we're keeping busy we're spring's right around the corner and we'll be making good roads here real shortly. So that's the focus. Is when I came into this, I said I was going to make roads better and getting into the roads better and making them safer, making them last much longer. And that's what the game plan is, and that's what we're doing. So, but I think that's pretty much all that I have to report on.
Okay, great. I'll bet you're going through materials pretty good with this little snow and a little snow.
We definitely have been going through some material, yeah, and there's been a lot of rock salt shortages and stuff. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of that. We're fortunate that we're still using Cargill right now. I have heard of rumors of Cargill maybe closing someday, you know, in the near future. I don't know if these are, you know, rumors or not, but so that's another thing that we're looking at is, you know, other prospects of where we will be getting salt and stuff too. We've got to start looking into this stuff too. So these are all things that are coming up around the corner that I think the biggest thing on the shortage was I think we had an easy winter last year. And this year was we're getting into a lot of salt usage now, and I think they ended up laying a lot of people off because it was such a mild winter last year. And you know, then they're trying to get their people back at last minute, and now they can't produce the salt to keep up with all the roads. So but once again, we're fortunate that we have Cargill right in our backyard, and we ordered enough in, we thought ahead, and we have no issues with that. So we're in good shape on our highway. So that won't be an issue for us. So
Great. Glad to hear it.
yeah.
So on the Board of Elections meeting, you recall the board asked that there be a meeting, and the Community Association agreed to sponsor it. And it happened last Saturday, the 15th.
Yeah.
Last Saturday. Had a pretty good turnout. I didn't count. Did you?
No, I didn't.
I was thinking it was upwards of 25. Right?
Oh, that's good.
All the tables were, there were no empty seats.
Yeah.
And there were extra people.
So it was a good crowd, and it was a good, respectful back and forth with the Board of Elections. And I've reported this in the newsletter, but the bottom line was the Board of Election offered the possibility of West Danby voters voting either in Danby or in Newfield. Neither prospect was very attractive to those in attendance. The suggestion came up because a good chunk of the people who are in the fire department in West Danby are actually from the town of Newfield. And the polling place in Newfield is sort of toward the north end of the town. that instead of the super site being in Newfield, why not have the super site in West Danby so that Newfield voters in the south end of the town could vote in West Danby? And the board seemed receptive to considering that.
Like that. And wow, what a pain that is. If you're counting on.
So this is, Rhonda needs to mute herself.
What?
That's the upshot of that. So, you know, I thought it was somewhat encouraging. Let's see, moving on, right?
What's it, is there gonna be a decision made at a certain?
Well, yeah, they were indicating all along that the decision would probably be made in March. So I don't expect it's gonna be months before we find out what they decide to do. Because it would affect the primary in June.
Right.
And if they change it, they're gonna have to send out, your polling place is cards to everybody.
There really were more options mentioned at that meeting. That was just the final offer that seemed to tweak a little bit of the temperament
Yeah.
toward and there was recognition. A lot of people spoke about the disenfranchisement, the roads, the conditions that, you know, people who don't want to drive up it or can't or whatever. I think there was a lot of discussion.
Steve and a lot of both mentioned that, there are more options than there used to be, which is one of the reasons that there's not as much in-person voting.
Right.
People can vote early, and they can vote by absentee ballot, and it's easier than it used to be. And several people spoke eloquently of how voting in person is meaningful to them in a way that dropping something in the mail is not. And that, it felt like they were participating in the process.
Including bringing children and introducing young people to voting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You have the supervisor's report in multi parts.
Yeah.
The minutes, any questions about it? The minutes are ready for us to be considered approval.
I'll move that we accept the January 22nd minutes as written.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Okay, Mariah.
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson. Hunter,
Yes.
Hanson, that was a yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon,
Yes.
thank you.
I'll move approval of the February 3rd town board meeting minutes as
I'll second that.
doctored with. Any discussion? Okay, right.
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon,
Yes.
thank.
We have a couple of minor budget transfers to do. Okay, what resolution are we up to?
Seven, 78, 79.
Well, I'll move resolution number 79 to approve the transfer of budgeted funds between accounts as indicated here. From A 1910.400 unallocated insurance to A 1990.10 8.800 New York State Retirement Fund for $8, and from miscellaneous expense DA 5140.400 to DA 9010.800 New York State Retirement, $22. The grand total of $30 moved to the retirement fund. We were off by that much.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Any discussion? Okay, vote.
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then the vouchers, which have been messed with, so we're have to be careful how we go through it, get the amounts right.
No.
No.
I'm gonna move the general fund
Maybe we could have Laura
about, well,
check with Laura and make sure we get it right, but,
we'll move it and then we can have a discussion.
okay. Which could
General
involve amending
fund
it.
41 through 78. For what I think is $33,576.61.
33,576.
Here, wait.
Did you see my email? Did you
570.
Yeah, she sent an email very recently in response to your questions.
Oh,
Yes, I did, Leslie. Actually, if I take that figure and minus out that one amount for Pat,
right.
that also had to enter in that $65 or whatever it was for that adapter that we got through TCNS. And so it does come out to 34,821.71. I went through and grabbed the last abstract amount, took out that 1,245.10, added back in the 3860 for the adapter, and I came up exactly to 34,821.71.
34.
And I went down through and checked everything on here. Those are the only changes that were made.
Okay.
So
So I'm gonna
the agenda is
change-
actually correct.
Hmm?
So the amount of agenda is actually correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Did I have a second?
No,
I want to change the amount.
Yeah,
anyway.
sure.
I guess it's 34,821.71.
I'll second that motion.
You'll see that in my email. Maybe you didn't see the email I responded to you at the end of the day.
I saw that the adapter wasn't on the voucher, but the receipt was in there.
Yes, so we did end up putting it on the voucher and
Right.
adding it to this total.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, I guess we're ready.
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there an adjustment in highway?
I'll move the highway vouchers 16 through 24 for $37,747.80.
Okay, good. Second. No adjustments there, right? Okay, right.
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I will say, Leslie, if you didn't see that email, I did put an attachment for that $259.19, which was that eBay purchase. So I sent that separately in an email. So you guys do have it for you.
There's a receipt for that. Okay.
Yes, I sent the receipt.
Okay. Did we get the receipts from the court?
Not yet, but I had, said, I'm not exactly sure why they didn't appear on there. But we will ask them. Maybe Julia had it in an email or something and forgot to attach it onto what you had. And I didn't notice it when I looked through, so I apologize. But we will get those
And any of those receipts, we'll send them off in an email so you guys can have your eyes on them and know that they made it.
Okey-doke. I'll move the water district, abstract for vouchers 44 through 48 for $575.86.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, the vote.
Catherine, did you second that? I'm sorry.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
She-
Okay, Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yes,
Thank you.
one more.
I always have to say my 2 cents of what a beautiful job Julia does with us.
Yeah. Usually perfect. I move the abstract for the Danby Fire District. Voucher 68 for $600,000.
Phew, wow. Second. That's their annual appropriation.
Yeah.
Which all went through Mariah's hands.
I went to what?
All went through Mariah's hands.
Oh,
Collected,
yeah.
yes. Ready?
Yep.
Hey, Mariah.
Connors,
Yep.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
yes,
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks, you
Better
guys.
not- better not need any more snow removal around here. We don't have much money left in it.
Oh, is that right? We're good coming into the year. All right, interviews for the upcoming board vacancy. As was mentioned somewhere in the beginning, there have been 2 applicants. More people expressed interest, but only 2 submitted applications. And the 2 are Zach and Tyler, both of whom are here, one way or the other. Who would you like to hear from first?
Oh, Tyler's sitting here.
Tyler's here. Okay. I think it could be heard from where you are. You could pull up the chair if you like.
he said,
Can you hear me from here?
Not too bad.
All right.
Pretty good, pretty audible.
So, do you want to lead off with why you want the job, and we can ask questions, or you want to just go directly to questions for Tyler?
Well, maybe he could just sort of interview himself. Now, introduce yourself.
Sure.
I think maybe a lot of people don't know you. I mean, you've been coming to meetings and
Sure.
participating.
So I go by Tyler as my middle name. My full name is James Tyler Stein. I am a resident of Danby since 2016. I moved here from Interlaken, north of Ithaca. I'm interested in this position in part because I am worried about the direction that the political soul of our nation is going. And I just want to make sure that the values that I hold are represented in my community. And I figured the best way to do that would be for me to apply for this position. So I work in Ithaca. I work at the Tompkins Financial Corporation. I'm the Identity and Access Management Specialist for the Tompkins Financial Corporation, which includes Tompkins Bank, Tompkins Insurance Companies, and the Tompkins Financial Advisors. So that's an IT position.
Mhm.
It's a infosec work. What kind of questions do you have for me?
Come on, don't everybody look at me.
Can it go this
We
way?
tend to, because you always have such a great list of.
I know. I know, well, I've been in New York City for a couple days.
Mhm.
I'm not Really well prepared. But I mean, usually we ask why somebody's interested. He's already answered that.
Yeah, right.
I don't know, maybe you could give us an idea of your interpretation of how things have gone since you started witnessing. them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've been coming to meetings for a couple of months now,
Yeah.
and it's really interesting to see how things work here. I see that there's a lot of unanimity. It seems like there's a lot of preparedness, and you guys already seem to have a direction that you're going procedurally. I would be interested in seeing some more discussion, but I haven't been here to enough meetings to see if there's ever any disagreement here at the table. I know that there's
Just pick
lots
some
more
slow
opinions.
months, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I picked some slow months to be observing, but I'm sure that we have lots of opinions coming through the TV screen there and lots of community engagement. But yeah, I am definitely interested in how the team comes together to do the business of town. I know that it's all very procedural, so you know, things move at the pace they move at, and I'm sure when things get exciting, maybe that's not everybody's favorite part. But yeah, I would be very interested in being a part of the team and working together to make sure that we take care of the town and do the things that we need to do to keep the mundane business moving forward. I know that there are a handful of issues that are a little more divisive that I have not seen covered at all, but again, that's just because I've only been observing for once here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that side of it, but you know, I guess I'll have to wait.
Okay, thanks. Yep, other questions?
You look like you were gonna speak.
No,
Yeah, who, you're trying to assess who is worthy of succeeding you, Paul, so.
oh, yeah, that's, I understand that you were looking for some youth after me leaving. But, you know, it's been hard to understand what it is that I enjoyed that didn't enjoy. I mean, I worked for town of Danby for 4 years before this. So I've had a lot of practice dealing with the issues. In some ways, it's the staff that gets hammered more than, but I don't find there's a lot of controversy even coming into the clerk's office or the building department office. The planner may get more of that. You know, I know that I'm gonna make a copy of this for you that is about what's going on here in Danby. And things tend to move at a glacier pace at some of this stuff. But I think you need to figure out what your position on some of that stuff, policy-wise, before that happens. Because, you know, as you see us, there isn't, everyone's got gray hair here.
I got a little bit, right over here on the side, if you look close.
Some grades sooner than others, but.
Some down here.
Yeah, I have nothing else to say about that, except that, you know, I have my own issues to deal with, so.
Well, I feel like if there's not more questions, I'm gonna start asking you guys questions, because it can't be that short.
No,
That's okay.
please,
Yeah, when
that's good.
that would be part of the way I would feel is that I know that you've been coming recently, but coming to meetings over a long period of time gives a person a real flavor for what it's really like. So
Right.
I'm hopeful that we will have people who maybe that Gary was talking about that we don't know or whatever, that these people would show up. The time that people show up sometimes is when there's a very divisive issue, and then it's not pleasant. We do the best we can to listen, and then we get accused of not being listened. So one of the questions is, how do you see yourself being able to reach out or receive some of the things that come at us?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. I do think that the most important thing is to not prejudge people and to understand that everybody has a perspective, and that in almost every case, the person who's in front of you, if they don't agree with you, they do have their set of facts that are important to them. And two people can be standing in front of each other discussing the same subject, and they can each have their own pile of facts, and they might all be true. And how they value the different facts and what they find most important in their pile can lead them to have a different conclusion about that pile of facts. And I think that it's important to understand what everybody knows as well as what they think is important, because that helps you understand why they're taking the same information that you have and coming to a different conclusion. And I think it's important to see the humanity in people and understand that they, in most cases, are operating in good faith. I mean, you always have to account for people who are not saying what they believe, but in most cases, people are saying what they genuinely believe. And just because you don't agree with it, and just because you know that you are backed up by facts, doesn't necessarily mean that the other person isn't also backed up by facts. Two people can have the same set of facts and have a different perspective on it. So I think that it's important to talk about why people care about the different things that they care about as much as they do, and why they're prioritizing different facts over others. And that's how I would probably address people who have opinions that are different than mine, without just accusing them of being uninformed or not knowing what they're talking about.
Great idea.
So questions you have?
Well, the biggest question that I have is how you are able to work together on these issues when you are only together twice a month for 2 hours at a time. I understand that, transparency is important, so the discussions should happen in public.
Right.
But I'm also a little bit confused as to how you can go deeply into a subject and share your opinions with each other like 5 minutes at a time, because there's so many things to cover in any individual meeting.
Right.
That it seems like you would have to do a lot of work outside the meeting to decide how you feel about it. But I assume that you're not all meeting somewhere and talking about it in private.
That's not happening.
So,
Yeah.
I wish that there was more time to discuss things with each other, because it just seems like you're kind of confined into the limited amount of time.
Well, the way to deal with that is by committees.
Yeah.
So, if it's a topic that requires in-depth investigation and
That's true.
and then formulating a proposal, the committee is a way to do it that allows for more discussion and more input from others. And we've done some of that. We found, for instance, we tried to deal with, because we're primarily responsible for making planning decisions for the town. We quickly discovered that it takes an awful lot of board time to discuss things in sufficient depth, to have draw meaningful conclusions. So, we created a committee. That committee will come back and we'll end up rehashing, but a lot of some of the stuff get discussed at least that way. And that's about the only mechanism, really, because you can't have, outside of board meetings.
Right, it's kind of a paradox.
Yeah, it is, because the point of the open meetings law is that the public's business be conducted in public.
Right, which is obviously important.
It is. I mean, I can remember before the open meetings law, a long time ago at this point, but you would come to a board meeting and the item would be on the agenda and it would be a motion made and it'd be a vote without any discussion at all. And you knew that all the discussion happened outside of the meeting before the meeting.
Exactly.
And that left somebody who was observing frustrated, because you'd like to know what contributed to the conclusions that people came to when they voted.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
I think one other way that people on this board, there's a number of us go to a lot of the different meetings. we show up at planning and BZA and water district and on. We go to meetings. People say, can we go do this? And I say, well, let's see how many meetings I have.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily because I'm on, but that is a way that, for me, that's a really big way. So I've been going to meetings, most meetings for the last 4 years and before. I started going to, when I first moved here in 13, I started going to board meetings and planning board meetings and meetings over and over and over and over. I always sat out there. So that's one of the ways. And then you learn a little bit more, like for instance, when we get something like this, we will probably go through some of this. And then we say, we didn't have enough time. And sometimes there's extra meetings. So,
Yeah.
with extra meetings for budget, we have extra meetings when they're hot issues. So it takes more time than maybe some people recognize because they're, they get reported in the newsletter as some of the things that happened.
We don't do what common council does and have 5-hour meetings.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I am a question asker. I always ask a lot of questions, so I would hope that if I was
Staff.
on,
You have
that I would
staff.
slow the meetings down
So
even
if you
more.
don't understand something that's going on, you can go to Greg
Right.
or Steve or Mariah.
Yep.
And also,
Keith.
Or Scott,
Laura.
or Keith,
exactly,
or,
you need to understand what's going on.
Keith. They all get
And Laura, who seems to be involved with everything that's going on. And also the planning board is a steering committee in a way, in what they expect from the town in the long run. And we can disagree with them. But that's another big source of information.
So what you're describing, that would take place outside of the meetings then?
Correct. And you could do that independent. You can talk to each of those people and their door is always open to you. You got to catch them when they're in the office. So
Yeah, I would be really interested if I was lucky enough to be chosen for this position. I would be interested in finding out how I can effectively use my time in an appropriate way outside of the meetings, because it just seems like there's so little time per month that takes place in meetings.
I mean, most is what, the agenda isn't real sexy. I mean, it's pretty dry, most of it anyway. But when we do have sort of a sticky topic, which we don't always agree on things.
That's interesting.
We do have extra meetings to talk about things in depth. Budget is a good example. We'll have 4 extra meetings
Okay,
to deal with the budget.
that makes sense.
because you express your values and how you allocate your money.
What did
What
you
did
just
you
say?
say? Yeah.
I didn't hear
I said
one
because
thing.
Me either.
Because you
express your values on how you spend your money.
Yep.
Lady.
Same as a private citizen.
Yeah, exactly. Mhm. So making the decision for the town, you are determining you're setting a priority for how you allocate your money. The others?
I'll let you guys take a turn.
Good to go.
Are all the meetings at 6 p.m., even if they get scheduled to another day, or is that not always the case?
Typically, but not always. During budget season, we had a couple that started at 5 instead of
Right.
6.
But always evening.
Unless there's occasionally we had a special meeting called because of having to postpone it because of weather or something else, and then
We'll meet earlier.
something, we want to get the bills paid, so we had a meeting on Friday morning or something just to get it done. And at least 3 people could come, so that happened that way, but suboptimal because a lot of people, the public can't attend at that time, even though it's, we try by making it available on by video conference, it's still not great.
And the board itself is barred from meeting remotely?
Yeah, we
over
did during COVID, which was really nice while it lasted, but when it was by virtue of the executive order that was, issued by the governor's office during COVID that we could meet remotely and have it count. The law requires an in-person quorum for the board to conduct its business. And it is possible for for a voting member to attend remotely, but there has to be a quorum of membership present physically in order for the meeting to be conducted. So occasionally it's happened that Leslie's in Maine, and she lets us know ahead of time that she's going to be there, she can vote, as long as 3 of us show up.
It's interesting. I mean, this little wealth of information right here. I mean, Leslie's been here forever, but I don't know how fast he picked this stuff up. But he had to delve into some archive of information and how the town boards run and what's the criteria and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure Joe will share that with you and where you can find that information so that you know how the system works. That probably answers some of your questions right there.
Yep.
And I'm sure it's in written form.
Yeah, we spent the first 2 years after I was elected revisiting policy, revising it. And we've got policies on most things to the point where we're now having to revisit them and say, well, we thought it would work this way, but not working out quite like we expected. We could change it, but we have policy to address it. And that's how the board rules, if you will, is by policy, because the staff answer to the board and not to me. So the policy is the way that they get direction.
You also would be trained by New York State.
Yeah.
You would be sent away, handcuffed.
Yeah, the controller's office and also the Association of Towns, of which we are a member, had good trainings.
Well, I would be honored if I were selected to fill Paul's position. And I would look forward to working with the team to take care of the business at Danby.
Good, thank you.
Thanks.
And now Zach, who's good by Zoom.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you.
I would have loved to be there in person, but I've had this trip scheduled for a while and I'm here.
Yes, you are.
It's nice to see more people attending this meeting. Paul, I'm gonna miss seeing you at meetings, and you're changing facial hair over the seasons.
What did you say? Something about spatial hair?
No, facial hair.
Facial hair. Yeah, my name's Zachary Larkins. I am originally from Hartville, Ohio. It's kind of funny because Tyler and I grew up half an hour away from each other and both ended up here.
Wow.
I've lived in Danby since mid-2023, so a little over a year and a half. I also started attending meetings then and then planning board meetings and occasionally BZA, but BZA less so because it's, it's a difficult experience to watch someone feel like they're pleading for a change in a thing they want to do. But it's been a lovely experience, seeing the slow parts, seeing times when people aren't necessarily agreeing with what's going on. Sorry, I haven't had a I guess job interview since 2012, so I don't know. I to be transparent, I guess I technically still work as the town maintenance person and have had that job for a little over a year now, but if y'all decide to vote to approve me, I could not do that, unfortunately, more for the maintenance reason. But I've worked in the trades for too long, almost 25 years. I am trying to get out in the next couple of years. My partner and I just built our house and are trying to start a coffee trailer, which the only pertinent part about all of this is we're trying to open a space that would allow community function, art, music, meetings. That has been the thing that's kept me here. I've lived in a lot of places and I've lived a lot of different lives, and this is the first place where I leave and I actually want to come back to. And that sounds corny, but it's true. It's amazing how quickly I've met people, and just it's just such a lovely place. And learning all of like this different zoning for both residential and commercial, I feel like I have a pretty good relationship with Steve. Also, he probably thinks I ask him enough questions. Keith and I interact on a decent level, I believe. Try not to annoy him either. But I don't know. It's been interesting seeing everything that's happening in the town, and I just want to see things continue on a good path. I'm not a long form speaker, sorry.
But that's enough to stimulate Leslie's questioning mind so that she can come up with some good questions for you.
Somebody else can ask
You want me to talk to Zach? I can talk to Zach. A trick question. Well, I also was into trades, and I think that there's a lot to be said for what you learn when you go out to try to build something. And you're in a different place, Zach. Moving around. Frankly, I think it has a lot to do with some intelligence and commitment to the integrity of the office and trying to make things work well within the community. And it seems like you have that. Let's see, questions really. Wow. Weren't you part of the parks, Zach?
No, I helped them out with building the boardwalk, and I actually have a slide for them sitting up on my property I need to put in the spring. But I'm kind of just on do you have a project you want to do? I will help you do the project basis. It'd be nice, like, if more grants came into existence, because there have been talks about different projects there, but.
Well, that's a diverse group. How do you feel about working with them?
I didn't actually work, like, I did a walkthrough with the group, and it was great. I mean, we made a plan. We had to deviate from the plan because of the soil conditions, but the actual people, Amanda Piha's husband, Isaac, helped lead. For once, I just wanted to be the laborer, and he was so pleasant to be around and is now like a friend. And we finished the first part, and I just did the second part myself because I kind of just wanted to hang out in the park by myself for a week. But it was great. And it was lovely, like, seeing people from the community come down and help out. And that's also what, with if this skate park can happen, I've already been reaching out to people, and I have, multiple people that are willing to donate labor. And I think it's another thing that would bring people into Danby and help bring sales tax and increasing importance, something of that nature.
Well, probably not, because we don't get the sales tax.
Well, never mind, sorry.
None of it?
No.
No,
And
it's-
that's, we have the option of either taking it and applying it to your budget, or not taking it and having it reduce the county, the assessment for the town. And we do that rather than deal with the irregularities of the revenue that Dan was remarking earlier. And we never, this decision made a long time ago to not take the money and have it applied towards the county tax.
But we are
instead.
getting the benefit from, we're not
Oh,
just
yes.
giving it away.
No, I mean, but the way it works is that there's all the sales tax that's gathered outside the city goes into a pot and then is redistributed to the municipalities, not on the basis of the sales, but on the basis of population. So whether the sales tax generated in your town doesn't really redound to your benefit directly, it's an indirect effect. Property tax, on the other hand, directly to our budget.
Right.
Yeah. So, and of course, it wouldn't matter even if we took it directly. If we took the sales tax, it would still be based on the formula that distributes the collected revenues back.
Based on
Yeah.
population.
Yeah, not revenue.
I mean, at least it would benefit, Karthik and maybe his business and getting more people into the park across the way also.
Yeah, well, it benefits everybody to have the business here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have, I'm not sure how you want to handle this, but we have at least one member in the audience who would like to ask a question. Do we want to entertain questions from the audience, or do we want to just limit the board back and forth with the board?
If people want to ask one question or something, I think that's all right.
Yeah.
Why don't we exhaust the board questions first? Other questions for Zach? Okay. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Is it Jova or?
Hi, everyone. My name is Joe Eva. It's nice to meet you. My dad's name was Joe and my mom's name was Eva, so you can see how they came up with that name. I've been in Danby since 2021 and it's my first town meeting, so I'm happy to kind of meet the behind the scenes and learn about the process and get to know a little bit more of my community. I did have a question for, I think, both candidates, simply because I'm relatively new and sort of learning the ropes. And I keep hearing that you'd like to continue making this community wonderful and having this community go in a positive direction. And I was just wondering if you could share some specific examples of how you would contribute to make that work. That was my question for you, Zach.
One big focus is trying to focus, I'm sorry, I just said that twice, on having more things for kids. I feel like it's kind of lacking to an extent. Sorry. There feels, well, it doesn't just feel, there's an influx of people coming in from other areas. And there's been an opportunity recently to sewer the town. It is at the very beginning, and there's a good chance that it will not make it to fruition. If it did, it takes what is a town that has some things, but not a lot. It does have open spaces that are beautiful. It is a beautiful place. But it would allow it to have a little more population density, have local business, have people be able to drive less, which I think EVs are great. But regardless, walking is the best option. And cutting down car trips. It would also, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling, I'm just, the other concern is there's kind of restrictive zoning, and I know people are concerned about, this doesn't have anything, but this has just been a thought of mine today, and I'll go back, but if you're trying to break up properties and having the concern that your property is worth less because you have to sell it by certain acreages, it will improve property values for sale if that's a concern. My bigger concern is just making it so people can interact with each other more. And I would love to start seeing more people come to meetings. It's been, I wouldn't say lonely sitting in a year and a half worth of meetings with one or two people in the audience normally. But I think everyone could use more connection. And I'm sorry that's vague, but there's really nothing more important than interacting with others. Is that okay?
It's okay.
Yeah, well,
Thanks.
Yeah.
want to respond, Ted?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, would you mind repeating the question again?
So my question is, because I'm relatively new, you both mentioned that you would love to continue seeing the town and the community continue to move in a positive direction. I was wondering if you could give me some examples, if you were elected to this role, as to how you would,
Right.
make
What
that
do I think of as positive? Yeah, I think that the most important thing to me is that the people of Danby are financially well off and live in a healthy community where the ecology is strong, where our wild spaces are wild, meaning that they are full of wildlife and the diversity of plant life, native plant life, rather than being taken over by invasive species. But I do think that in
deer and invasive species.
So I think that the natural ecology is one of Danby's assets. We are a significantly wild community, but I would not want to turn a blind eye to the most important thing, everyone's material conditions. I would never want to create a situation where it's harder for people to meet their bills. And to me, the bottom line of positive, once you have a healthy environment and as much money as you need in your pocket, is like Zach was saying, that people are able to get along. And I think one of the important things of getting along is having spaces where you run into each other. That there would be places in Danby that people would often be together. would help foster community, as we already have some of those spaces now. But I do think that nationally, the divide between people whose politics is exclusionary and divisive and people whose politics are aspirational and inclusive could not be more stark or obvious. And I fall squarely on the side of wanting more inclusive politics and less antagonizing of scapegoats to try and get a
Without
leg
naming
up
any names.
by stepping on someone else.
Yeah.
What was that?
Without naming any names.
Yeah, please let's not. But yeah, I think that material conditions are the bottom line. People need to be able to be well off by having financial security. And you know, that would be my focus in anything I was voting for.
Ted, we're gonna give you a shot.
Sure. In listening to these two candidates, I don't have any questions for them. I think they both answered all the questions I could have about them. What I'm thinking here is that you are choosing someone who's going to be a participant in governance. I hear one candidate who's clearly interested in the minutiae of governance, is asking questions, wants to learn how it works, wants to be open to differing points of view, which has some people in this town feel it would be a good thing. And you have another candidate who has some pretty good ideas and wants to see his ideas happen. Of the two, I look for good governance rather than someone who comes in with an agenda. And I certainly hope that you would feel the same way as I do, and that you certainly would not make the decision. And I'm sorry, I'm always putting my foot in my mouth, but I think it's important to say anyway, not make a decision as you did when you appointed Paul. I believe what was said was, well, he's going to be elected anyway in November, so we might as well give him some more time on the board. I really didn't like hearing that. Thanks.
Rhonda, do you have a question?
No, he
No.
said he didn't have a
He said he
question.
No, I'm asking Rhonda whether,
Well, Rhonda's got her hand up.
because we're not looking for pontification here, we're looking for questions from the candidates.
I would ask both of the people if they've read the comprehensive plan and know what it is and what it does. And it seems to me that I'm looking at maybe two people who haven't read the comprehensive plan and don't really understand how the town is run. And I think my personal feeling is that a lot of times the best way for somebody who's new to governing in the town of Danby is for them to start off being on the planning board. So they really get some sort of an idea of how things work that aren't the minutia. But I do agree with Ted and what he said. But I do, my question would be for these people, have you ever read the comprehensive plan? Do you understand what the comprehensive plan is and what it does and how it sort of dictates what goes on in this town? Thank you.
Question? Who wants to go first?
I have not read the plan, but I'm obviously open to it.
I've not read the plan.
Okay, it's 2 out of 2. Highly recommend it.
Easy.
It is the vision statement for the town.
So are we going to vote now or is?
No, we can't. We won't vote till the next meeting.
Okay.
Does anybody else have that question?
Can I ask a question about that? I'm not gonna be here, so you're gonna have an open seat
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get
for
it.
that meeting?
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Although, we could put somebody on first off,
Yeah,
and then they could serve for the balance of the meeting.
right.
But we can't make the appointment until the vacancy exists, so that
We,
will end of February.
we have had, when Sarah left, we had quite a while before. It is okay not to appoint right away. It's okay. There's no,
There's no compulsion to have it filled right away,
right.
but there's no reason to delay either.
No.
Okay,
I don't see
thank you
any-
both. You'll be hearing from us. It might be well to attend the next meeting, so one of you is there in case we appoint you.
Good point.
The RCAP agreement for GIS support. The water district has a, this is a mapping function for the water district. It's a GIS, cloud supported thing where they can input information about, what's where in the system, so that if you have questions about it or something comes up, like the water main break today, you can find things. And there's a subscription service to access to it, to get access to it. And there's two levels of subscription. One just gives you read only, so you can't update the information. And then the more extensive one allows you to modify it as you go. So if somebody adds a dwelling and you've got a new water line, to their house, you put that service in and it's small map where it is, it's added to the system. Otherwise it gets obsolete over time, it's incomplete data. So the district, the water committee supports using this mapping software, and the staff very much would like to be able to do it.
So the mapping software would help them with reading meters and.
Well, not so
billing?
much reading meters. The meter reading is part of a whole separate software package with
Okay.
the meter reader and the software that interacts with the reader and with the.
That's totally separate from this.
Yes.
And this is something,
This is more about mapping, and knowing where things are in the system. If you.
Physically, geographically.
Yeah, it's a GIS thing.
That seems like it would be very helpful.
Yeah, and our new operator, Sean, is a young person, very tech oriented, so they gravitate to these, not a paper map, but give me the, you got it on your phone, you can look it up and you add such and such an address, where's the shut off, you can look at it right there.
Seems totally reasonable.
So, but it's a contract, so I asked them,
so it's a yearly contract for 800?
I believe that's correct. Yeah. It's what, $800, something like that?
One, year, so the is it 800 each year, 400, 800 the first year and then 400?
I think it's 800 a year.
Cause this one line is 3 hours of training.
Oh, that part, oh, wait, yeah, the
Do they
training
do
is not,
yearly training?
yeah, the training is not recurring. What the heck is that? Oh, it's cloud. Yeah.
Hope they want it my way.
Mhm.
Do we have to vote on this or does
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, we're just, but the motion, and I'll make it, is that we authorize Scott Wank to sign on behalf of the town to subscribe to the service.
Okay, I second.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say that GPS is normally used in surveying and,
Yeah.
like not to use, it seems like we're just putting ourselves further and further behind. Like,
I will say that, it's been astonishingly expensive to use the available software.
Right.
For 120 users, 120 addresses would cost thousands of dollars to equip yourself in ways that would serve, 5,000 users, no better, it's just the price of entry, so to speak.
Is this the only option? Because is this what all surveyors go through, having to pay for the service?
Well, yeah.
On a yearly basis?
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is the same concept.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, I say the meter reading software, the software for interfacing with Williamson Law so that it gets, and there've been glitches too. So I mean, dealing with making it all work is more work than the way we used to do it with paper and pencil. We run around and read the meters, but
I have to agree that not all technology is good technology.
But they bought, we bought into it. Yeah.
You have bought into it already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this one, well, we had in the past, that, we have had use up to this point. They gave us a deal, but then, we ran off the end and they said, well, if you want to keep using this, you have to pay, and it's going to be this much.
Is there a suggestion from the person who's actually going to be using the equipment?
Both Scott and Sean are very much
They want it.
want this
There you
tool.
go, then.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the answer.
Yeah.
Will
Well,
it help with figuring out where there are
Toys are
problems?
toys.
Oh, boy, wow, that diminishes it. I'm voting against it.
What?
I mean, is it mapping just where equipment is and lines are, or
But it's
will
also
it help? Will it help with figuring out where problems are?
No.
That's right.
Yeah, well, I mean, to the extent that you can, what we don't have, and it's a whole different level of service and much more expensive, is the ability to monitor, like if you've got we've had leaks before where there's a leak someplace, well, where is it? Now, you run around trying to find it.
Right.
If it's a leak from somebody's water line, if it's behind the meter, in the house, if you have the ability to monitor the meters, which because they can be monitored from outside, you can find where the problem lies. Sometimes you have a vacant house that forgot to shut the water off, or they didn't ask for it to be shut off. The pipes freeze, breaks, and you're losing a lot of water. Where is it? We don't have that capability. I mean, we have to run around, and read the meters and say, well, this one's really weird. Breaks in the lines, there are ways of having sensors that tell you the flow is much more than normal in this direction.
Right.
This is where to look. What we did today was the manual technique where they shut off the water to the north end of the town, and then the leak stopped. So the south end was okay, so it's okay. So that was in service. Then you say, okay, well, if it's somewhere in the north end, and then you can shut off streets and say,
right.
If it stops, then you can say, oh, so somewhere in the street. Turned out to be at the intersection of Valley View and Maple, right in the middle of the hamlet. And
Wow.
and just like Scott and I were out there trying to find the valve this morning. It was right next to us. And neither one of us saw it. And by being next to the creek, the water came out and went into the creek, and there's no big gushing or anything.
Right.
Over 100,000 gallons overnight down the creek. So that's how it gets done. But this software wouldn't fix that.
This wouldn't,
No, this is just
it's just where the.
if you're trying to
equipment
find a
is,
shut off to the house that's got the leak in it, it'll tell you where it is.
Where it is.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, if they, if the staff at the water district really feel like this would be useful, I guess we should help them to have it.
Well, the committee was
I mean,
supportive.
they can be stopped after.
Well, yeah, if we found that it really wasn't meeting our expectations, but
I guess they'll stop if you stop paying.
well, yes.
Yeah.
Well, as we
Okay.
discovered, because we weren't paying, they stopped.
Okay,
For a while, the read-only access was free,
right,
but you couldn't update it.
right.
But now it's neither.
Okey doke.
Ready?
Yeah,
Okay, Mariah, vote.
who moved it?
I did, I think.
You moved it.
Was there a second? Pat seconded it.
Okay, this thing. Okay.
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yep.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
The Cold War Veterans Tax Exemption Local Bond. Pretty straightforward. It addresses the exception to the rule that co-ward veterans were in the original legislation, which I don't know why that was there. It must have been the way the state authorized it. Why they did it, the way they did it, I have no idea.
And this continues it.
Yeah, I just said that
Forever.
instead of ending after 10 years, which it would otherwise do, the state authorized it being extended, and we would just be saying, okay, well, as long as the state's willing to extend it, we are too.
Right, we talked about this last time.
Mhm. So I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Further discussion? Mariah?
Just for the edification,
Sure.
that this has been discussed at a previous
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
As Paul mentioned.
Banners,
Yes,
Hanson,
Yep,
Hunter,
Yes,
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Jim Holohan is here this evening. And there has been progress made. You recall we got a clean energy community grant to upgrade the energy efficiency of the town hall complex. And we've been exploring what can be done with the $60,000 that we could spend. And Jim, you want to update the group on progress made?
Just a little background for those who don't know about our Clean Energy Communities grant. Clean Energy Communities, the program is sponsored by NYSERDA. We've gotten grants from them in the past. We did get a grant to get a free energy audit on the building. And it was basically geared towards electrification for the building and any other easy measures they found to improve our energy efficiency in the building. They did come back with the report, and there was recommendations for or how to go about doing the electrification for the building using air source heat pumps or ground source heat pumps. The ground source heat pumps were not viable, so we have this opportunity to to use our $60,000 grant, which we achieve by doing different sustainability levels within our community. We had two different companies come out, and I have not got quotes back for the heat pumps for the installation of them. And in the audit, the energy audit did come back, and there was some funds left over. So hopefully the audits will come in for less, and we'll be able to use some of that money, extra money from our $60,000 towards EV chargers or something else, maybe adding to the solar or something else for the town. Hopefully towards the EV chargers, we're leaning in that direction. So that's kind of an update on where that's happening. Joel, did that cover it pretty much?
Pretty much, yeah.
Right, how much does an EV charger cost now?
Well, it depends.
So that's separate. That's a
Similar to the one we had.
chargers a bit, but the community, but that was the update as far as the heat pumps in the building. As far as the EV chargers, there was a group put together through the county, and there was selected companies throughout the state that were put together proposals, an RFP. They came in and said they would do basically turnkey operations for EV chargers in town. And it was based on them getting revenue from the EV chargers after they were installed. From reaching out to them, we haven't heard anything good about any of the any good reports coming in on working with these other contractors. So somebody knew from my past work contacted me that they were doing EV charging stations, and they put together this sort of rough proposal, which is not, it's basically picked up from another proposal, and they gave us something to work from as far as what the cost would be. So that we don't have an actual proposal from them. To answer your question, Paul, I have this in front of me, which seems like a lot of money. I agree, Ted, on that as well. And we're going to look into another opportunity to get this, to make use of this opportunity with this company. There is a deadline coming up the end of February to apply for the DC money, the make ready money from NICEAG will be available, and there's money for that, but to get additional incentive money from the DEC program, it has to be applied for by the end of the month. So kind of scrambling to see if this would be an opportunity to get the actual proposal for them and to see what their numbers would be. It may be similar to this. I did look up, just your random Google look up, and it can go from $30,000 to $50,000 online. Is what they're. I have not reached out to a local company as far as EV charger. I know there was the one that's there now. It got put in place. There wasn't any charge for using it at that time, and I think it expired. The equipment was not working, and they Joel knows more about this, but basically it was kind of rip and replace. Yeah, you're on your own, and it's time to start fresh on that. So, yes, Paul. You have another question?
Sort of, yeah. Didn't we pay like $20,000 for the first one, this one?
No, no, it sort of subsidized the first one.
Right, but that's how much it costs, right?
Oh.
Just curious,
I don't remember.
because NYSERDA paid for it then.
Yes.
It was,
Right.
and we paid for the electrician to run the wire out to
Did
the
we?
charger. Does that ring a bell, Jim?
I'm not sure. It's been a while. I don't remember the cost associated.
And now it's just another, 30,000.
Yeah, I remember the numbers if you want.
Great, Ted, just tell us the numbers without a lot of words, please.
I believe the charger itself was in the $8,000 range. And there was another couple $1,000s for the electrician. And of course, Paul, you took care of the pedestal.
Right.
You poured the person.
The electrician charge was, you really couldn't avoid the electrician charge.
Yeah, we
But-
had to get the wire. Yeah.
But a perfectly usable charger at that time was about $500 at Home Depot. The problem was that NYSERDA only allowed you to choose from one of their approved chargers.
Right. Yeah, we were giving a couple choices, that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And as part of this program, there are certain contractors that are qualified to get the funding from DEC. So when you work with these different programs, there's some built-in funding for the contractors. So the prices do tend to be higher, which is typical for most of the incentive programs I found.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, you said something has to be done by the end of February,
Yeah, that's why it's on the agenda.
like next week. Do we have to do something now? Do we have to approve something now?
Right, that's why it's on the agenda.
Well, right now we're gonna get the final proposal for them, but there's no commitment until we see that. There's no commitment for us to go ahead and talk to them, get their, for them to actually apply for the funding. And once if it gets approved, they'll get numbers back to see if the DEC will pay for what percentage they will pay. Will they pay up to 80% or whatever portion? They'll also apply for the NICEAG portion, which is the make ready. And once we find out if it's actually what they say the bottom line will be, then it's actually up to the board to approve going forward with that number or not. At this point, the board can approve or not approve. I'm not sure how the board wants to do it, but they can say, yes, go ahead and research this, figure this out, and report back to us.
That's all that's required now.
Right.
Correct.
In other words, it's just an expression of interest.
Right. So do we have to vote on that?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Let's vote on it. So,
you're jumping ahead to number, whatever it is, but,
We're on that one now already.
well, no, we're dealing with we're dealing with the clean energy communities one, but
No,
that is
just-
actually 11.6 EV charger.
But we just jumped to, we've been doing 11.7 for the last few minutes. 11.6. Then I would say that we should, make a motion that we move ahead and get more information.
I second it.
Does that sound like a reasonable way of expressing our go ahead and apply and see whether you get it? Jim?
Yes, as far as I know, that'll work for the for the company to go ahead and do it. Move ahead. I was at the building, and took some pictures of the electrical service there, which I can provide to them. Laura's gonna get me a nice big bill. There's some other forms that have to be as part of the application, which has to be done as well.
Mhm. Hmm. Yeah, are we ready?
Yep.
Yeah, Mariah?
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
So going back to 11.4, where we are at this point is, Jim, getting the estimates, and once we have them in hand, then we'll know how much money we've got left over, if any, beyond what it would take to put in the heat pumps. And part of that expense might be, the power's over there, the heat, the furnaces are over there. We might have to run electric from A to B, and whether we got the capacity in our service to heat the place with heat pumps has to be looked into as well. So there might be some expense in upgrading the service in order to be able to do the heat pump install. So that's all part of getting estimates and seeing whether there's any money left over to do anything else.
Just out of curiosity. So they have those single room units that a lot of residential people are putting in. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about a whole house heat pump, because right now it's still the same old.
We've got 3 gas furnaces.
Down in there.
Yeah, and the game plan is to replace the 3 gas furnaces with basically with a coil inside. You take out the furnace, but you leave all the duct work and you use the distribution system that's there. But you put in a heat exchanger to do the distribution. We would gain the ability to air condition at the same time.
Yeah.
That's a heat pump?
It's a heat pump, yeah.
My
It pumps it.
last one is the kind that you're talking about. It has a unit out, in my case, it has a unit outside, but
Yeah,
they had to put ductwork in for it, and it does all of them do both heat
Yeah.
and
Ours does
air
it too.
conditioning.
It'll be for heating and cooling. Looking at the electric service, we can include that as part of our $60,000. We can use that money to upgrade electric if it's for the heat pumps or for EV chargers. Going into the box yesterday, there's actually 2 breakers that are not on, two 220 breakers, which are and there's 2 boxes mounted to the outside of the building, which had been reserved for future AC units. So we might be ahead of the game a bit on that. So that might be something.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
good news when I was there.
My gosh, foresight.
Yeah.
I remember doing that.
Yeah.
Too long ago.
You may or may not be able to take credit for it. Yeah. So that's more of an update in that case, that we're moving ahead. They actually being pressured by the state to make up your mind what you want to do. And Jim is on it.
Any other questions?
Okay,
Hearing none?
great.
Thanks, Jim.
Keep us posted. Oh, okay, now on to the highway ones, the 11.5. So Keith's still here. He can tell us why, he got this lead on getting gravel screening equipment for way less than it would otherwise cost if you went out new.
So, yeah, so, in the past couple of years anyway, we've been bringing in all these millings that a lot of these contractors want to get rid of, these larger paving companies that are doing some work, like maybe with IC, Cornell. We've been taking all these millings in. This is something a little bit new that we're doing, but we can recycle all these millings and use them in our roads.
Talking about asphalt recycling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yep, that's correct.
Good things.
So we've brought in, so I mean, just in the past alone, just to give you an idea of what kind of funds we're talking about, how much this saves is the piles of millings that we've brought in the last, I want to say the last 2 years has been, I'd estimate it at about 4,000 to maybe 4,500 yards. That's a pile of probably about the size of the building that you're sitting in. And it has a value of, I would say about 40,000 maybe in aggregate. Maybe upwards of 80,000 with trucking. This has all been free delivered material that we're not paying trucking for. So it's really a beneficial thing if you can get your hands on the millings, and you got to make sure that they're good millings too. You can't just take anything that's out there, because it's important to get pretty decent stuff if you're going to be paving with it. However, so in the past, I've borrowed this machine from the town of Danby, the town of Ithaca, and they've been very helpful with the town of Danby. They've been great, but it's a very hard machine to get at the end of the year when everybody wants to borrow it. It's year end, it's time to do your millings. If you have them and if you plan on paving with them, these machines are very hard to find, but it's a machine that you don't use very often as well. So I would be trying to outsource something that's new and shiny and fancy. This thing has been very well kept. You would never want to buy a screen plant from like out of a quarry or something like that. They're junk. This machine has been very, very well maintained. The town of Ithaca, they have an equipment rotation policy that they rotate out their equipment, whether it be a screener or a truck or whatever. They're constantly turning over their equipment. So it's a very good opportunity for us to buy it at a fifth of the cost of what a new one would cost. And I will say that they're very, very, very hard to come by in this condition, with a $80,000 to $100,000 savings. So,
what's the payback?
The payback is like what I was saying in the beginning. So these coarse millings that we bring in, once we screen these millings out, Paul, we're saving all that aggregate that we would normally be going. We might be driving an hour away to go get that aggregate to pave. I've got enough material that I'm putting through there for free that I'm estimating that material at about $80,000 if you were to add in the trucking expense of what we would have paid, and that's about enough to do a mile of our roads and real paving.
$80,000 in a year.
That was about 2 years worth of millings, and that's always, it is going to change on and off, mind you. That's a good question, because it's not always going to be $80,000 worth of millings in 2 years. It could be, things could slow down. IC's done a lot of parking lots up there. They had some nice item 6 material that was excellent milling material. So we brought that in. I think that they're going to be doing some more. They didn't do all of IC. There's a lot more to be done in Cornell. And the municipalities, we're always bringing in stuff with the municipalities, all the counties, the state. We work with all of them when they're doing millings. We can go out and obtain these millings wherever they might be getting the millings, wherever they're milling roads. We can get in there and try to help them out with getting rid of some, and it's a win-win situation. So small price for, you put something into the machine and you get gold out of it. It really, it's I don't know how other way to put it, but it would greatly benefit our town. I think that it would last it would have a very long longevity. This, even being a used machine, it's a very, 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 very heavy built piece of machinery. My mechanics looked at it. We know the town of Ithaca mechanic well. We've had very good reports on the machine. It's very, very low hour machine. Once again, it's just on their turnover plan that they're, we're looking to borrow up to 23,000 for this machine. However, I'm still like in the works a little bit with we might be able to do a little bit more on price, I'm hoping. So we're saying we're looking for up to 23,000 in expense for it. So that could be less, but
would you if you had this machine, would you lend it to others the way
you know, it's a very good question, Joel, and the answer would have to be a profound. At times, if somebody was in need, yes, I would, because we get so much help from other towns when we are in our paving processes, and the people don't really realize how much we work with our other towns around us. However, I don't see a lot of other townships getting a lot of millings. We're very fortunate that we're on South Hill, that we're next to Cornell, we're next to IC, and I've been really fortunate because we're so close, and they want as quick of a haul as they can get to get rid of these millings. And then, you know, it's so some of the other towns are a little less fortunate if you're not so close to town per se, but sometimes out on the highways, the state routes and stuff, they get some, but generally speaking, a small pile of millings or something, if I was to loan it out to another town it would be like for a day or two while they did there. And in the same token, I've for Newfield, for instance, they've lent me their bulldozer for all summer long this year to do some work. So it's really a wash as far as, you know, loaning stuff out. We do help our neighbors, and in the same token, they help us. So it's
just give them a little bit more ways to help out.
Yeah.
I move we approve the resolution to approve the town to allow the highway superintendent to purchase a screen plant machine from the town of Ithaca.
Not to exceed 23,000.
Yeah, that's what the resolution says.
That's part of
You're basically moving the resolution.
Doing the resolution.
Yep.
We all second it.
Can I mention one other thing about it?
I was going to say, Laura wanted to comment before we.
Sorry.
Go
Keith,
ahead.
you used, and Keith, and I know why you use this term, because you're used to buying big things. You said we're looking to borrow 23,000, but we're not really.
We're looking,
it's
yes,
okay, Keith.
we
I
are
know
looking
where
to
that
buy
came
it.
from.
We're
I know
looking to
right where
take
it
it. Yeah,
So,
we're looking to
yeah,
take it out of the general
buy it,
fund.
and we're looking to take that money out of the fund balance. And I know we always talked about that in the past, using money from fund balance, but I can tell you in 2023 and 2024, we've added a lot to our fund balance. We have added around $125,000 to our fund balance by having some milder winters, by just, watching the expenditures and the things that have happened. That helps with payroll, it helps with, spending so much in materials. And so that's why we were asking to take that $23,000 out of the fund balance. So I just wanted to point that out before you approved that resolution.
So this is outside the budget.
Right.
Yes, it's outside the budget,
Yep, sorry about that.
No, that's okay, Keith. I knew when you said the word borrowed, I knew right where it was coming from.
I know what you meant. But
Yeah.
The resolution is appropriate because it's written.
It's written, right. So any further discussion? No,
Who seconded it? Who seconded it?
Who
Paul.
moved it?
Paul
Pat.
Woodworth.
Okay, Pat
Paul,
seconded.
Great.
Wait a minute, Pat
Connors?
moved it
Yes.
and Paul seconded it. Okay.
Good.
got it. Right.
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yeah. And the
Thank you.
related matter,
Thank you.
well, don't go away. The next thing is the truck repair.
So, yeah, we have an unfortunate truck repair that, unfortunately, one of our front differentials on our trucks, broke a gear, which leaded to, so you have to replace the whole differential in it, which is a very expensive job. If we were to take this out to, if we were to take it to the dealer, it's probably, it's around $11,000 to fix it through the dealer. We've done some price quotes and stuff on a new differential. I think we can fix it in-house with our own mechanic. And I think that along with I forget where I was going with it.
Gonna say Daryl is amazing. I am amazed at things he's able to do.
Daryl he's an amazing mechanic. You can rest assured that that's very true. And so we're looking at about $6,000 for the total repair if we repair it in-house. I'm leaning more towards you can buy rebuilt stuff for this. I'm leaning more towards an international right from the dealer, the part. I'm looking at different prices and stuff, and we're trying to find something we're obviously looking at the best warranty and stuff on the situation too. But it's we're looking for $6,000, and that would be coming out of our unexpected repair fund.
I move that we approve the resolution to allow the highway superintendent to make a major road repair on one of the town trucks.
Second.
And thank Daryl for us.
He gets a lot of thank yous from me, yeah.
Any further discussion? Mariah?
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I move we give ourselves another 15 minutes to finish the business.
I thought that was it.
I thought that was it.
Oh, we have
No, we had a
discussion
couple of
next
them to come
meeting.
back to.
All turned into a pumpkin debate.
No, but we have
Rise at this moment, yeah.
we have a 2-hour time limit on our, well, actually, we probably have the time because we had the public hearing first.
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
It wasn't very
except
long.
that there was.
No, it's true, it wasn't very long, but, anyway, so
Let's get going.
let's do the motion and we don't have to worry about it. Want to second it?
Second,
Mariah?
Did you say how much time?
Yeah, I said, up to 15 minutes.
15
Hopefully we'll do it
minutes.
in less.
up
but,
to.
yeah.
Okay, Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
I'd say yes.
Hanson,
Yeah.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so, there were two things.
no, one was a report, we did it under reports.
We did that, that's right. But
So the only is a request for the CIS to do volunteer so the use of the town hall. on April
CSI,
12th.
right. Right,
CSI.
Yeah,
CSI.
Community Science
CIS,
Institute.
CSI.
yeah. There's two events. They requested the use of the building to do the volunteer training.
Right.
The CAC is also inviting them in to do a presentation. on what they do. And that's in conjunction with the next meeting of the CAC, so I don't think that really needs
No,
any
we don't.
authorization.
No,
The town hall
But it might be
policy,
good to advertise that. I mean, that people might like to come to that.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, and
Yeah.
that's, I think, you got something right, Pat, to put
say
it
what?
about that, presentation by CSI, but that's in April.
Yeah, it's April.
Yeah, it's in
2nd.
April, so it's not going into this issue.
Yeah,
That one's April, no, it isn't, that one's in March. March 11th.
Yeah, the training's April 12th.
Yeah,
That's what they
the
need
training's
permission
April 12th. But I think the other was in March. But I have to check.
for. March.
Well, it would be at the time of the next.
CAC thing?
I
Yeah.
have the CAC report, but I don't remember if that's in it.
The
I
March
tried to
CAC
remember
meeting.
what they said too, but I.
Yeah, because there was supposed to be
it was in the
publicity
letter
about
from
it.
Margaret.
Maybe it's,
They may have, and I just don't remember.
it
what
could be, or it could be that it was in April and not in March, so I'm not sure.
Okay, but we need to approve them using the building on
Yeah.
a Saturday.
Whenever.
April 12th.
For the training, at least.
Right.
But I think, the other one you could argue is a CAC sponsored event, and so it's kind of, you can regard it as a governmental thing if it's a CAC sponsored.
They're
That's
bringing
true.
it to the meeting.
Well, the reason I'm
I guess
asking is
the-
because according to our town hall use policy, anybody who's not a governmental organization is supposed to provide liability insurance for their events. And I don't know whether CSI has that or not. And you might want to revisit that requirement because
Yeah,
it's a kind of a onerous burden for those who are, if just want to have a, meeting of a rock club or something. And I raised that issue with them when they asked about having their meeting here.
right.
And, we have a liability insurance requirement. Required town board approval and liability insurance waiver, basically.
Okay. I mean, it is a little different in that the CACs.
Well, for the CAC, then I think you can make a case that it's a CAC sponsored. We used to have the policy, it's not in there anymore because it didn't, it got changed with the revision. We used to give the community council a blanket approval to use this building for
Right.
their sponsored events.
Right.
And that's no longer there. Well, no community council for one thing, but,
I don't know. We
but,
also have a contract with CSI.
well, right, yeah.
So,
Do we have yes, but the contract with CSI, of course, is to
Right.
provide the services that they do,
which probably includes training.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, the training is for the volunteers, I mean, it seems like it's not a governmental, it's not an arm of the government, any of them, it's an independent organization, which we support,
Which we have a contract with.
The contract has more than supporting.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, we have financial support for, as well as, we do good work.
So it seems like this could be part of their, what they're providing for the town. If we're paid a contract for that, the part of it should be
We
training.
could, that's an interesting way of thinking about it, maybe we could view it through that lens and say, part of
And
your,
training them to monitor our creeks.
yes. That could work for me.
But isn't the question why the insurance sees it that way?
We have insurance. I mean,
Well, we've got insurance, and the only thing that they're having liability insurance,
no,
holds us harmless to something they do. If they do something stupid. It doesn't change our liability or reduce it if we do something stupid. If they have their meeting here and somebody slips and falls on the ramp out here because it wasn't cleared and salted, that's not their fault. And having liability insurance isn't going to help us a bit. We're liable for that.
right.
What it does protect you against is if they did something, I don't know what happened, somebody, they had a party and the floor got slippery and somebody fell and got hurt, that would be their fault. And then, we'd be protected against that, something that they do, which, so that we're not liable for what they might have done. I mean, it's a really low probability that somebody having a meeting here, an information session or whatever, if there's going to be anything that they do that's going to create any liability for us. But we've got this policy in the town hall use policy that says, they need the liability insurance so that they can assure us that they will hold us harmless for what they might do.
Okay.
We might want to revisit the
We probably
policy.
need to look at the policy, because I can think of some other things that might be a problem, but
Yeah.
For why, I mean, if they came in and said, if somebody came in and said, all the wells in town have bacteria in it because you live in the woods. And then somebody went home and said they drank their water and then they got sick. And then they said, well, the town told us that we needed to do something. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like,
Yeah.
what otherwise, because if the floor gets wet because somebody's in here, the floor gets wet tonight. It was all wet because we all walked in with wet shoes.
It happens, right? Yeah.
I mean, I assume that the CSI and Trout Unlimited
Mhm.
have probably got
They may well
some
have.
liability
yeah.
insurance.
But I mean, I will say that the fire department doesn't require this. You know, we have many times met for a variety of reasons in the fire hall, and they don't require liability insurance on the part of, users.
So that's a separate
So
issue.
let's-
The
let's
issue right
revisit
now
that.
is.
Which is to say they're willing to take the risk.
These people use it.
Yeah. But we've got liability insurance that protects us against like wars. But, but if we see the situation as Pat has suggested, which seems plausible, that that providing this education of volunteers is pursuant to their agreement with the town to provide the stream monitoring and so forth, that it's a reasonable extension of that, and we can allow them to use the building.
I'm sorry, but isn't there an agent that we're working with, he or she would just give us the answer?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Ask the insurance agent, what are the potential reasons we would need this?
Right. I mean, it's great that we're discussing this, but truthfully, I'm kicking it back.
They're basically
Somebody
saying,
talking
we
to
should
the
ask
agent.
our insurance company whether they think that we should have this liability insurance on the part of users of the
In our
building.
policy.
They should tell us.
I can do that. I can make that call.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
But for the moment, I'm willing to go with Pat's interpretation.
Because if this is April 12th,
Well, we got another month.
depends on how much of time they need to get it set up.
I mean, it'd be
It's
nice
not
to
a
be able
long
to
time.
tell them that they
That
can.
they
Yeah,
can
well,
use
if we can go with this interpretation, which is say, sure. So we still need board approval for them to do it. So why don't we just say,
I move that we allow the CSI to do volunteer training at the town hall on April 12th.
second,
Well, was that you seconding?
Pat's motion that we allow the CSI to do their training at the town hall on April 12th.
Right, who seconded it?
I did.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm with you.
Ready?
It's all in her head.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm voting for it. Yeah, me, I. Uh-oh.
Connors,
You're out of it, yes, one at a time.
Aye.
Hanson,
Yeah, I said hi already.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes.
I'm at the,
Thank you.
spring.
I think that was it, wasn't
Lights out.
I believe, unless people want to mention what we might want to hear about next time. It always seems like the agenda fills up without things we hadn't.
Yeah. Right, we don't really.
Okay, with
Joel?
that,
Joel,
yes,
can we mention, both Mariah and I mentioned, we know that the sexual harassment training and the workplace violence training has to be done also by all the board members. And we do have something coming up Wednesday of next week, and it would be by Zoom through our NYMER insurance.
Oh.
And I know,
Which one's that for, Laura?
what's that?
What is that for? What's the
Is that-
title?
is that-
That's for, we're all required by law at the beginning of each year, once a year,
The
to have
sexual
that
harassment one? Okay.
sexual harassment or workplace violence. But maybe, Mariah, you could help me, and we could maybe split some things up, and I know you've got group emails and stuff like that too. But we need to send that out so everybody can get registered. Once you receive the link, you'll see where you have to register yourself for Zoom, and it's at 9 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday is the sexual harassment, and at 10 o'clock is the workplace violence. And then you can get up on your computers through Zoom. However, they're gonna send you an invite, And then you can click on it, take the course, and it will print you out a certificate at the end. And if you get that certificate, forward that all to me because I'm gathering these up. I think that Mariah gathers up enough stuff in there. I'm gonna help out with this one. Gather it
Yeah,
up.
I can
then
send,
it'll go
I
in
can
the
send
town.
it out. I can send it out tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Mariah.
Absolutely, of course.
And
Okay.
then everybody can take that course,
So look
sitting
for
at
that.
your own house.
You don't have to do it.
What?
You don't have
I
to do it.
I don't have to take the course?
Nope.
Oh, that's it, great.
Because you're.
I'm off
You
to
might
the-
have to take a
you're
little
off the weekend
quiz.
week
A
here.
lot of times they make you take a little quiz. So you take a little quiz and then you passed and then you print out a certificate and just get it to us and get it over here to me and I'll gather them all up, make sure everybody's got it, and then we'll store them in the vault and we'll know that we've got them all.
As you know, this is an annual requirement.
So both of those are in one training.
Yes, one starts at 9, the other starts at 10.
9 o'clock and then the second at 10.
The second at 10.
And when
But
is
you
it?
have to pre-register. So you, as soon as you get it, click on the link
Oh,
and register for it. Now at the highway, we've registered for it. We're just gonna bring our computer screen down for the guys and have all the guys just sit around and take the whole course. And if you wanna team up with it at all, you can do that, get one certificate and just have a sign off sheet like Mariah, if you wanted everybody in your office, everybody sort of sit together or anything, just have a list where everybody signs in that they've taken the course. And then that one certificate will go for that whole group. And
Okay.
that will work.
Yeah, questions answered.
Yeah.
Laura, could I ask you a question?
Sure.
We already took a sexual harassment course with Dominic and we did get a certificate. Would that suffice for that or?
When did you take that, Keith?
I think
last year, wasn't
it was last year. Oh, okay.
That's
It's
what
for
one-
25. I gotcha.
And
Yep,
I know
okay.
Dominic has got some physical things going on with him right now.
Yes.
So I
Yep.
thought this might be a good
Perfect.
thing.
Perfect.
And
I got you.
I was gonna let you know, I don't know what they have going on Wednesday.
We'll
but in
be
the
able to
morning,
make it. Yep.
they can just sit around the break room, watch it, they'll take their quiz and they can all sign the sheet and you'll be all done with that.
Sounds good. No problem.
Before we go, Mariah, can you remind everybody they're supposed to be doing the fishing?
Yes, the fish, has everyone, I
Lessons.
think the whole board has done that. Paul, you probably don't need to do that. If you have a Town of Danby email, you've gotten several emails encouraging you to take this training, email scam training. If you they're gonna come down pretty hard if you haven't taken it. I think everybody in this room has.
Okay. Yeah.
Great.
Okay. You want to say something?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
I think we need to thank Paul for all his work and helping out for the town board for the last however long it's been. I don't even remember. Sorry,
My wife said it's 2 years.
probably feels like.
It may seem like an eternity, but.
In your honor, we're going to have some refreshments.
Really?
Yeah.
Which, for all you Zoom folks, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're
You-
unpacking it now. We have to watch.
You gotta tell us what the refreshments are. It's
Is the meeting over? Are we adjourned?
Yes, for those of you who unfortunately who could not attend in person, you don't get to partake of the goodies that Pat brought, but it's all.
Wow, look at all that stuff.
A
believe it's
rather large
cupcakes.
variety of pastries here for us to imbibe in. So thank you all for coming. Meeting adjourned.
Take care, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Take this stuff.